Paul, I think you can cut now. We've settled. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, because of who we are, I'll now invite Father Anthony from Amicia to come to the podium and begin this great congregation with a word of prayer. Please take your seats wherever you are. Father Anthony, I have bad eyesight, so I can't recognize you wherever you are. Eh? He's behind me. Father Anthony.
I'm your bodyguard.
Thank you.
She was not aware that she has a bodyguard behind. Aware that we are here from different faith backgrounds, let us put ourselves in the mood of prayer. Let us pray. God our Father, God our Creator, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of knowledge. We thank you for the gift of friendship. We thank you for bringing us together. We thank you for the gift of each one of us. We thank you for enabled people of different professions to develop knowledge that will help your community. And in this day particularly, we thank you for the gift of Professor Rachel. We ask you, God, Father and Creator, to journey with us, to accompany us. And we ask you to bless this event so that as we launch the knowledge that has been brought forward to us, it may be for the good of the entire creation. And at the end, let it be for your glory. You who lives forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Father Anthony. Can I ask you to remain standing while we play the national anthem? The national anthem, Paul, please.
Creation, justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. Let one and all arise. We come for strong and true. Service be our harvest endeavor, and the homeland of Kenya, heritage of splendor, long may we stand to defend. Let all with one accord, in common but united, build this our nation together, and the glory of Kenya, the fruit of our labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving.
Let me take our seats. Your Excellency, the Honorable Chief Justice, Lady Justice Joyce Alwatch, the representative of the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Fen Dambuki, Your Excellency, Dr. James Gesami, Deputy Governor, Nyamira, the representative of the VC, who is also here in his own capacity, Mr. James Deuri, our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, Finance and Planning, our staff for the day, who also happens to be my DVC, Academics, Research and Academic Affairs and Research, Professor Richard Gesami, who is the reason why we are here, our chaplain, the Reverend Dr. Boniface Mungai, all our professors present at this great congregation, my colleague deans and directors of schools and heads of functions, the choir community, our distinguished guests, our students who indeed are guests of honor, my dear sisters and brothers in the Lord. First of all, may I render our unqualified apologies for beginning this late. We had a few challenges. I'm even having problems with the mic. I look like Uhuru Kenyatta. You know how he loved to play with his mic. To apologize for this, we had challenges, and I am sure we had challenges because we are doing a good thing. Your Excellencies, first of all, allow me to welcome you to CUEA. I'm sure you're already enjoying the ambience of this place we are at, the Pope Paul VI Learning Resources Auditorium. This auditorium is one of its own kind. Justice Alwatch, you haven't been here. Perhaps it's the only one in Africa that's naturally air-conditioned. So just relax and enjoy the good living at its best and its healthiest. Your Excellencies, our reason for being here is twofold. One, we are here to launch the book, Research Methods, Examining Research Techniques, and in so doing, undertake a serious, sober academic exercise as we excavate this new gem to see how it bridges gaps in contemporary research paradigms. Secondly, Your Excellencies, we are here to celebrate the gift of a book and its author, as only we African people can. So prepare yourselves for a time of fun, food, good music, and fellowship. In the interest of time and good order, again, Your Excellencies, you allow me to give some guidance as to the sequence of events. Now, first of all, our Rector and Vice Chancellor, who is indeed our host, and the father of this home, in the person of his representative, Mr. Deuri, will welcome us to CUEA, and by way of letting us know why he invited us here in the first place, will give his opening remarks. Thereafter, our keynote speaker, Her Excellency, Honorable Lady Justice Joyce Alwatch, will take the podium and deliver her keynote speech. Many in this congregation know you as a legal practitioner par excellence. The few lawyers who are here in my generation remember with very fond memories appearing before you. But what most people perhaps don't know is that the reason I'm calling you Your Excellency is because, first of all, you're a diplomat, having held the apex position in an international court and also in various municipal courts. And so we are very, very, very happy that you could take the time to be here with us. And what perhaps perhaps almost all of us don't know is that Justice Alwatch is also a celebrated scholar as well. So we could be in better hands, especially as we are talking about research. And so we thank you for honoring this invitation. After the keynote address, Mr. Ndambuki, who is representing the Cabinet Secretary for Education, will make his brief remarks and declare the book officially launched. This is the second time Mr. Ndambuki is visiting this university, if I remember, in the space of 2 months. So, Mheshimiwa, perhaps there's something good at CUEA. Feel very welcome, and you're at home with us here. Immediately after the book is launched, we will unveil the author, Mrs. Professor Richard Gesami, who will then take her rightful place at the fireplace and in a typically Socratic manner, engage in a dialogue with her target readers. Your Excellencies, this is something to live for. The book can be ordered online, so after she speaks, we hope you get a few orders. After that, a vote of thanks and benediction. We will recess for book signing and refreshment as we network amongst ourselves. And since we are already so much out of schedule by 45 minutes, and remember I'm a lawyer and I charge by the hour, I would request you to do this very quickly in the time slot allotted to you so that we can have quality fellowship together. As now I hand over to my chair, Dr. Njeri Ngacha. This is a family, he bears my name. I now invite each one of us to enjoy this day as we celebrate God's goodness to us and our university and our nation to the honor and glory of his holy name. Dr. Njeri, could you now take the podium and take charge of the meeting? Karibuni sana and God bless you. I don't know how you do it.
You make our minds move around. So let's appreciate her in a better way, in a more organized way, with an arousing round of applause. Thank you so much. So without much ado, I know we are running out of time, and today is a busy day for the university. After this function, we are going to have Christmas carols. After this, we are going to have dinner. So we'll be here up to midnight, but every other function will lead to the next. So allow me to take this opportunity to invite the advisor to our VC and the representative of the Vice Chancellor, Mr. Deuri. Please, let's clap for him as he takes on the stage to officially invite and open this ceremony. Mr. Deuri, please take on the stage.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jerry, both of you. The representative of the Cabinet Secretary, Frederick Dambuki, Lady Justice Joyce Alwatch, former judge, first Vice President of the International Criminal Court, Honorable James Gesami, Deputy Governor, Emira, Dr. Frederick Statler, who will be here online, distinguished guests, deans, faculty, students of CUEA, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Deuri, and I'm the Special Advisor to the Vice Chancellor, who with regret would not able to be here today, but he passes his warmest greetings and accords. He is representing the university at a conference on the Kenya National Education Network, which is a collaboration of university programs that use technology and the internet to integrate our services. Catholic University is a pivotal part of that, and he is the representative that hosts this hub. Now, let me proceed reading the Vice Chancellor's speech. Good afternoon. I am glad to welcome all our guests to the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, CUEA, for this occasion of the launching of the book, Research Methods Examining Research Techniques, authored by our very own Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Academic Affairs and Research, Professor Rachel Gesami. I would especially like to acknowledge the presence of the representative of the Cabinet Secretary, as well as Lady Justice Joyce Alwatch, who is an avid scholar and a major mentor in the law fraternity, which is important to CUEA, as CUEA and our Faculty of Law is quickly becoming an enormous part of the drive for research within Kenyan universities. Let me also acknowledge the presence of the several civic leaders from the various sectors, including the county governments, parliament, and representatives of the different forms of government. Welcome to Catholic University of Eastern Africa, and from our inception, our university has embraced research as a major facilitator in conjunction with our call for quality teaching and having information that is beneficial to the community and to community service. The university continues to emphasize within faculty, teaching staff, non-teaching staff, the importance of research, not only in influencing in developmental policies, but also for the publication of findings which have a high impact on both current and future societal needs. The university treasures every occasion such as this, when these are displayed as a pointer of growth in our staff, their capabilities, and in our students. As major aspects of emerging trends continue to drive institutions of higher learning to utilize facets of research in advancing concepts that have a bearing on contemporary issues, such as the implementation and the future of CBC, CUEA will not be left behind, and we are championing the benefits of holistic education that will form transformative leaders, both for the church, but also as importantly for society. Allow me to challenge you, the faculty, the students of this university, to be inspired by Professor Gesami and by these events, and to scan the environment that we live in, that we work in, and identify gaps and issues within our contemporary society to which there can be provided solutions through research and thereafter publications that are an indicator of our maturing intellectual growth to which all universities must ascribe. For various varied and credible reasons, let us adopt and domesticate this culture of publishing to be part of our 2023 New Year resolutions and beyond, so that they can become the norm of creating bodies of knowledge that will elevate our learning, the university's visibility as not only a good and strong educational institution, but to make CUEA the center of excellence, not only in the Eastern African region, but globally. We commend the growth of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa and its ability to nurture and support an enabling environment for faculty, and we are very proud that this book has been published by our very own CUEA Press. I therefore take this opportunity once again to welcome you all to CUEA, to this function, as we celebrate Professor Rachel Gesami and congratulate her on this achievement and significant milestone. I wish you all the very best Christmas this season, and thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. James Deuri, the Special Advisor to our VC. We all know that our VC was given a mandate by the President of this nation, and he's working around the CBC curriculum with that committee, and thus we cannot take it for granted. And we all know that our VC has been telling us about the quality of education and even how we should move to mediocrity up to meritocracy. But again, making our education be more of philanthropic. So allow me to take this opportunity to request our director, who is moving the online stage, to invite Dr. John Frederick Statler, the statistician who is supposed to give the foreword of this book. And remember, this book has been written with dexterity in a way that it reflects the lingua franca of research paradigms. So we are going to have an online session to have the foreword of the book by Dr. John Statler. Please help us get John Statler online. In the meantime, we can be having some music. Oh yeah, he's there from Namibia. He's going to give us the foreword. Dr. John Statler, if you can hear me, the
Hello.
floor is yours. You're most welcome.
Can you hear me?
Clearly, yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm so sorry that I can't see you. I wish I could have been in Kenya, and I'm feeling a bit disconnected because I can't see the audio, but I hope you can hear me. I'm very pleased that I've been invited to give a foreword to a very important book, not only for Kenya, but I believe will be a very important book for the whole of Africa. Before I continue with some of the remarks I just wanted to give greetings from many people in Namibia. And I will make a mistake if I'm not gonna say that the Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Sarah Kukongole Amadila, she has sent her special greetings to Professor Gesami on the occasion of releasing this very important book. Professor Gesami met the Honorable Prime Minister when she was at the IMF. And when I alerted her that Professor Gesami wrote a book, she said, please convey my special greetings to her and also to all the people of Kenya. But also a very special greeting from the Speaker of the Parliament of Namibia, Professor Peter Katsavivi, who also happened to be the founder of the University of Namibia, the first Vice Chancellor of the University of Namibia, and who currently is the Chancellor of the Namibia University of Science and Technology. Professor Gesami, Honorable Peter Katsavivi spends his special regards to you, and also the chairperson of the Council of the University of Science and Technology, Mrs. Florette Nakuzera. And up front, they expressed their wish that this book should become a prescribed book at all the universities in Namibia. So you may wonder why I was asked to do that foreword for a book. It's because Professor Gesami and I, we met each other more than 15 years ago when we worked together at the International Monetary Fund as advisors to the executive director. And we started to exchange ideas on how we can take academia forward in Africa. I was very inspired because I was just a young graduate from university, but she was already a veteran that time. And she was one of the key people that played an important role in the Africa Economic Research Consortium, which at that point in time was driving academic research across Africa. And she has really inspired me in so many ways that I can't say here today. And when she started to write this book, many of you will not know it. Today is the release of the book, but she will tell you that it took several years to write a book. That's why even when I'm introduced as Statistician General, I became Statistician General in 2012 already, and then this is when she started to write the book. But in the meantime, I was fortunate that the President has called me to be his economic advisor, and then so I'm actually no longer the current Statistician General, but I'm the Statistician General that started the Statistics Agency of Namibia. And I must say, the first call was when I got this assignment to start the Statistics Agency, was to call Professor Gesami and to ask her, where do I start? That time was not Professor Gesami, was Dr. Gesami. I said, where do I start? She said, no, but we have a Bureau of Statistics here in Kenya. Why don't you come? And they will take you and teach you how to start a statistical agency. So after 3 months in my job as Statistician General, this is exactly what I did. I went to Kenya and I met the director of statistics in Kenya, and the Kenyan authorities assisted us with a 2011 census count. And this is also because of these doors that Professor Gesami has opened for me. So I'm very pleased to say that this is a book. If I look over the past years in Africa, and not just in Kenya, but in Africa, I can't recall when last we have seen a book that was authored by an African on research practices that also includes statistical compilation and the research methods. So I'm very pleased about the release of this book today. I know this is just the start. I believe there will be updates in future. And what we need more than ever before now, as we are on the, as the world is changing so rapidly, is that we need evidence and we need methodology and we need statistical practices to take forward the agenda of African development and the African Renaissance that and also Agenda 2063 of the Africa Union, where we speak of the Africa that we want. We can only speak of the Africa that we want if we have a thorough view and if we understand all the people in Africa and we look at different lenses, and if we also don't leave no one behind in line with the principles of the UN Agenda 2030, where the key principle is Yalanobi, leave no one behind. I'm feeling a bit disoriented because I can't see the audience. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if what I say makes sense, but I'm very pleased that for this occasion. I must say Professor Gesami has told me about this book several years ago already, but today the time has come. Today is her time. And also, just before I conclude, I saw on the program there were the Honorable Minister of Education is there, also the Honorable Justice is there, and I should have maybe at the beginning stand on the protocols that were observed, but I want to just use this occasion also to acknowledge and appreciate the support at a top level, that the Minister of Education is supporting this book, that the top management and the leadership of the university is supporting this book. And this is a book that definitely we will promote, not just in Kenya. This has now become also a Namibian book, and therefore also a book for the whole of Africa. And I dare to say sometimes we must also dream a bit bigger than Africa and say, why can't we also export this book to the rest of the world? So with these few remarks, I just want to compliment Professor Gesami again for that work, the many hours, the struggles that she has gone through, but most importantly, that she has never given up, and that she has always worked very hard to make this book a reality. I compliment you and I salute you for this. Thank you very much. I wish all of us the best with the rest of the proceedings. I will now go to YouTube to see how the rest of the program is coming. And then at least I can see you, but you didn't see me, but I hope you could have heard me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. John Frederick Statler, for your remarkable acknowledgements and remarks concerning the book and giving us a foreword. So without much ado, we want to invite the one and the only one, our keynote speaker, Honorable Lady Justice Joyce Aluoch, EBS, CBS, Judge retired, former judge, and first Vice President, International Criminal Court, ICC. Honorable Justice Lady Aluoch, please take on stage. Let's give her an arousing round of applause as she takes on the stage. Let's give it the Europe way. You continue clapping until she gets on the stage. Let's continue clapping for her as she takes on the stage. Fantastic. So, thank you so much, Lady Justice Aluoch. Take on stage, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. allow me to recognize the representative of the Minister for Education, that's Ms. Ndambuki, is here. And in my own very special way, allow me to recognize Dr. Gesami. I know there's doctor, but one is medical doctor, and that's Mr. Gesami, before I go to professor. So is that not right? They are both doctor. Yes. And distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored to have been invited to give a keynote speech to this public launch of the book titled Research Methods Examining Research Techniques by Professor Gesami. Now, when I was first approached to come and give the keynote address, three things were in my mind. First, I said, research. Then I remembered my life as a judge. You have already been told now I'm retired. Yes, and a few minutes ago when we were in the tea room, I told Professor Doctor that I am retired after 44 years of service. 35 in the Kenya government judiciary, having been the second woman to be appointed a judge in this country. And now the first woman judge, Judge F.U. Ward, and myself are on top of the world because we never ever foresaw that one day judiciary would be headed by a woman Chief Justice. We are so happy. So the second thing that came to my mind and which made me not hesitate to accept the invitation was the fact that that my sentimental attachment to issues that relate to empirical research are many. And secondly, and at a very personal level, I have many young women and men, you may believe it or not, who are my mentees. And Dr. Gesami's daughter, Caroline, is one of my mentees. Caroline is not here today. And Caroline and I met in a very interesting situation. We had both been at the gym, and we were now in the changing room. This was several years back. I was still a judge at the International Criminal Court, and somebody asked me, "Oh, Judge, you are back?" I said, I'm on court recess. We have court recess here in Kenya. Even at the International Criminal Court, we had court recess. So immediately after that, Caroline came to me. I didn't know her, I'd never seen her, and I don't think but she was working with the judges. So she came to me quietly and said, Judge, my name is Caroline Gesami, and please, I'm looking at you and I might make a mistake. Are you Judge Aluoch? I said, yes. Will you be my mentor? That is how I met Caroline. Now, perhaps a good starting point for this afternoon is with the author herself. Let's start there. Who is the author? The author herself. Let's start there. This is what I know about the author. If I leave anything out, but I'll say as much as I know. It is important because it would give the opportunity to appreciate why the author ventured into writing a book on research methods and why I personally believe that there could not have been a much more qualified person to write such a book. And incidentally, this word empirical research is going to come so many times that I said, why can't we break it down? Because I don't want to believe that everybody who is here is very, very familiar. You know, we judges like to either we break it down or we tell lawyers always break down that word. So what I decided to do is to say that empirical research is research using empirical evidence. What does that mean? That doesn't mean much. So I said it is also a way of gaining knowledge by means of direct and indirect observation or experience. Direct or indirect observation. And I think for Professor Gesami, this is not direct or indirect. This is experience. But empirical research is also research based on observation and measurement of phenomena as directly as experienced by the researcher. Directly experienced by the researcher. So I think we are all on the same page now. I just wanted to break down that word. I don't want you to leave the room and say, oh, everybody up there was talking about empirical research. What do they mean? I just wanted to make sure that we are all at the same level. Now, the author, Professor Rachel Gesami, is a successful scholar, researcher, and an international development economist. She was the chairperson of the Nelson Mandela Center for African Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University in India, and Dean, School of Business and Economics at Kenya Methodist University. As a development economist, Professor Gesami has served in various capacities within the Kenya government. She was the secretary, policy coordination and director of Vision 2030 in the office of the then Prime Minister. Internationally, Professor Gesami worked as senior advisor at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in Washington, D.C., where she provided technical advice to member countries on economic policy. She has also been recognized by the head of state and received the Moran of the Order of the Burning Spear, MBS, award. With this kind of exposure and experience, you will agree with me that the author is in a vantage position to write a book on research methods. When you read the book, you'll recall what I'm telling you now. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while it is not my duty today to review the book, it is perhaps pertinent to say a few words about the book. The author provides an accessible point of entry for those new and experienced in research. Professor Gesami has created an excellent guide that effectively demonstrates how empirical research is actually done. That's why I had to break down this word empirical, so that we don't, just in case you are not in the research, then you don't feel lost. This new book goes beyond the often discussed what has to be done, and focuses on too often forgotten, how can this be done effectively? We will find all that in the book when you read it with an open mind. Impressively, the book is not limited to research methods for a particular academic discipline, but rather its application is interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. From my very vast experience in the legal profession, I've already told you 44 years, having joined at a very early stage as what they used to call DM2 professional after you have qualified. And that didn't stop me finishing off in 2018 at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. That is what determination and hard work and determination does. So from my very vast experience in the legal profession, the use of empirical research methodologies is necessary. whether in relation to understanding evidence, basing policy decisions on sound research, or having a deeper and critical understanding of the law's impact on the world. With the current trend towards interdisciplinary, it is more important than ever that scholars like yourselves, academicians like yourselves, and policymakers be provided in train in and undertake empirical research. The ample terrain of work now covered by legal scholars overlap in varying degrees with other distinct traditional academic disciplines, especially such well-established social sciences like economics and political science. Notably, scholarly work in many of the social sciences is far more quantitative than traditional legal scholarship. To the extent that the legal scholars continue to extend their work into other disciplines, it is likely that some of this work will be empirical. Yeah. For example, several universities in Europe and the USA often offer joint degrees like law and politics or law and economics. I'm not sure that we have started that in this part of the world, but that's why I'm talking about it. Because judges and practitioners increasingly rely on economic reasoning and empirical research to resolve legal disputes. In some areas of legal practice, especially tax law, bankruptcy, corporate law, and other fields of economic law, economic reasoning is often central to the focus of legal arguments, and it continues to grow in importance in many ways seemingly non-economic fields such as environmental law, intellectual property law, and more. Indeed, the increasingly interdisciplinary nature of legal scholarship points towards law schools' further interpretation into the larger university. I am by no means suggesting that Catholic University of Eastern Africa should follow this trend. I do, however, believe that the integration of theoretical knowledge and perspectives from different disciplines provide an ideal platform for interdisciplinary research and scholarship. As a retired judge now, who has actually transited into alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, and that's what takes me to South Sudan ever so often. And in fact, this week, my colleague, Judge Ogola, is in South Sudan, but I said I was not going to be able to go and skip this function because I know how important it is. And you all know that South Sudan is a country in transit. They are actually on revitalized, they are operating on a revitalized agreement for the resolution of the dispute in South Sudan. And I have been tasked, together with my colleague Judge Ogola from Uganda, we have both been tasked to reform that judiciary of South Sudan. And we are engaged in that. It's no mean task, but we have to do it. They are now part of us. They are East Africa, so they are part of us. So if you are asked to go and do something like that, you have to go ahead and do it. So as a retired judge, empirical research played a critical role in helping me research several judicial decisions. And we are talking judicial decisions, as I've said, of 44 years. Unlike academics, judges must research decisions in real cases, real situations. That's what comes before the judges, real situations, not just, in that way we are a little bit different from the academicians because we are dealing with real stuff, isn't it? Now, increasingly, litigants had started to introduce statistical information into evidence. It is common knowledge that most people in the legal profession do not like statistics. I believe there are lawyers here, so if I'm wrong, just tell me. So it is no surprise that many judges display some reluctance when drawn into such cases that borrow from an unfamiliar research tradition. Another point of frustration or reluctance for judges was that they were frequently asked to resolve essentially empirical questions that lack an empirical research base or rest on research that was undeveloped, inconclusive, or both. These concerns led to the need and desire for legal empirical research that judges can draw from in making the decisions. The world has changed, so we have to move with the world. It's not the world where we started work, no. The author has compiled 15 chapters that demonstrate the relations of a research paradigm, methodology, method, technique, and an instrument. These relations and differences are further explained in more detail in separate chapters and suggest ways and readers might apply them in their research. Instead of asserting the preeminence of any particular research method, the author, Dr. Gesami, invites researchers to consider that different research goals might be best achieved with different methods. Such offers accessible yet sophisticated descriptions of research methodologies and examples and lived experiences. The balance of clarity and rich description creates a handbook that will appeal to experienced researchers like myself and most of you, as well as those new to research. I find especially helpful the rationale, logic underlying the structure of the book. A preview of it was given. I know very well that the research process in social science and humanities, for example, law, is neither necessarily rational nor following strict logic. Therefore, having as an anchor that keeps a researcher within the limits of clear thinking and understanding where you are in the process, structuring one's own actions and heading towards the envisioned goal is a huge advantage. I believe that this book will enrich our knowledge and enhance our understanding of research methods generally. There is no doubt in my mind that the book will be of interest and importance to researchers across different subject disciplines. I also recommend it to academics, undergraduate and postgraduate students, as well as policymakers and practitioners. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude my address by once again commending the author for this initiative. Writing a book is no mean task, and it is not for the faint-hearted. Even I fall in this group, not for the faint-hearted, because I have just started mine. And this one of my young mentees is here, Sandra. We are working on it together. And I've already realized that it's no mean task. You need to have the strength and patience to sit for long hours to put down your thoughts in the proper sequence. And I remember she is a writer herself, so quite often she'll tell me that, Judge, this and this don't quite merge. Give me the right sequence. So sometimes I would tell her, Sandra, today I'm tired. Can we pick it up today, tomorrow, the day after. Now, sometimes you probably have sleepless nights. So once in a while, I think I remembered that, I think that the right sequence came to me at night, and I just got up and put it down so that when I'm meeting with Sandra, my mentee and the writer, she would say, yeah, that is the sequence. So it's no mean task. A new book on research methods is the era of rapid communications and information technology changes. It is welcome, particularly against the backdrop of the death of standard textbooks in such areas, standard textbooks. To Professor Gesami, I say congratulations, but one person or one group that I need to thank are the families. Family members, and for us women, particularly our husbands. I know that they put up, when it's a wife, a mother, a professional, I don't want to mention, I don't want to say what they put up with. But we are multitaskers as women. We do multitask, but we need the cooperation of our husbands for those of us who are married. And I'm talking of 51 years of marriage. So we need your support. Those of you who are husbands, we need your support for us to succeed, for us to do the work that we are doing, because we, in turn, we support you. And I'm glad that Dr. Gesami is a medical doctor, because I have been also supported and supporting a medical doctor for 51 years. So we must never forget our families. We originate from families, and eventually at the end of the day, we will go back to families, however high we go up, whatever we do. So in order for Madam to write this book, I haven't talked to Daktari, but I can imagine what has gone on at some point or other. So families, we value you, we thank you, children, grandchildren, spouses. So as I say congratulations and thank Madam Gesami, I also thank you, Daktari, and all families. That's where we originate. I'm very passionate about families because at the High Court, when I was a High Court judge here in Kenya, I established the family division. It is still up and running. There was the criminal division and civil division for many, many years. And then when things, when businesses started really proper, the business community they made noise, and they said they wanted commercial division. After some times, I remember I went to the then Chief Justice, name withheld, and I said, Chief Justice, we have criminal division, civil division, commercial division. Why can't we have the family division? He was surprised. He said, you want to be an activist now? I said, family division, I want to be an activist. We all start from family, and at the end of the day, we all go back to family. So we had a few issues. He didn't quite approve it, but I was so persistent. And one of the reasons was that where there are family matters, people, whether they are husbands and wives not getting on, they would be on the court corridors the whole day. And another thing was whenever there were succession disputes, the entire family would be at the court building the whole day. So I thought that the only way to handle that situation was to give them days that they come on particular days. So I was glad that eventually the Chief Justice of the day agreed, and I established the family division. I think it was in 2006. By that time, I was still in the High Court. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Sorry, I have to call you Madam Gesami because Mzee is sitting right next to you. Thank you for such a wonderful book. And Mzee, thank you for the support. And thank you all for the support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lady Justice Aluoch. We appreciate and acknowledge your presence, and we cannot take anything for granted. So we are moving on well. We are almost there. Thank you so much. God bless you. So I want to invite the representative of the CS, Mr. Dambuki, to take on stage to do the official launch of the book. Mr. Dambuki, please take on stage. That is now where the climax will be, the launch of the book, as we wrap up by inviting Prof to come and give a brief and then have a round of dialogue that will be moderated by Professor Nyanchoga. And as Mr. Dambuki takes on stage, it's good to remind ourselves that the book of Numbers says what our special advisor to the VC said about upholding research and perpetually safeguarding the investment of that knowledge is something that we need to take home today. So please, let's appreciate Mr. Dambuki as he takes on stage representing the CS, and you are the one to do the official launch of the book. And as he prepares to do the official launch of the book, I will invite Margaret and Jerry and the two children to be around so that we do the pomp and flair. Karibu sana, Mr. Dambuki.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See? So, as said, I'm Frederick Dambuki, Secretary Administration in the Ministry of Education, and I'm here representing the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu. And I want to take you through the speech. During the book launch of research methods, examining research techniques on the 16th December 2022 at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Former judge and first vice president of the International Criminal Court, Honorable Lady Justice Joyce Aluoch. His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Nyamira County, Dr. James Gesami. The Vice Chancellor of the Catholic University, Very Reverend Professor Stephen Bugwagari, represented by Mr. James Theory, Vice Chancellors and Deputy Chancellors present today, the Statistician General, Namibian Statistics Agency, Dr. John Frederick Statler, distinguished guests, deans, faculty, and students of CUEA, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. First and foremost is to appreciate the speech by the Lady Justice Joyce Aluoch, and particularly on that element and component of family. That was very wise message, and it has been well received by many of us, and I appreciate it as a person. Thank you very much. I am honored to be here today as the chief guest at the launch of this book, Research Methods, Examining Research Techniques. Indeed, this is my second visit to the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, CUEA, in less than 3 months. The first being when I represented His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, during the occasion of the graduation of the class of 2022 on the 29th October this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Catholic University of Eastern Africa is not only one of the largest regional private universities and the auspicious of the Association of Members Episcopal Conferences of Eastern Africa, AMESEA, but has continued to partner and work hand in hand with the Ministry of Education in Kenya to build and develop our education sector. Ladies and gentlemen, like other universities, CUEA embraces and emphasizes on research and innovation as one of its core pillars. This research fits into the other two main pillars, that is teaching and community service. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Kenya, I would like to express gratitude to this university and our faculty for a major and leading role in providing higher education to learners in Africa and globally. As a government, we truly appreciate the complementary and supplementary role private institutions play to ensure that the high demands for quality education in tertiary institutions of learning is addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, specifically, I wish to applaud CUEA for a unique approach in advancing an education that is value-based and that drives holistic development of transformative leaders, not only for the church, but also for the society as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of academic progression and as a requirement of the Commission for University Education, university scholars are expected to carry out research and publish their findings. In addition, research is a key component for completion of programs offered in our institutions of higher learning. Ladies and gentlemen, in the recent past, we have seen research and publication being a key component in university ranking globally. Therefore, for our institutions to gain a competitive edge and score highly in these rankings, it is essential for them to prioritize research, publications, and innovations at institutional and individual levels. Ladies and gentlemen, I note with pleasure that one of our major scholars in charge of academics and research is not only driving research processes for this university, but has taken the initiative to unravel the mysteries behind research methods and techniques. The book, Research Methods, Examining Research Techniques, will bridge the gaps in contemporary research paradigms, knitting together the techniques of research from across different disciplines and enabling researchers to come up with findings that can be collaborated. The text will serve to mentor senior and junior dons, students, and researchers in research institutes, both locally and globally. Ladies and gentlemen, it is anticipated that the findings from research conducting with aid of this book will influence theory, practice, and policy, while at the same time encouraging growth of the education sector, the nation, and the world as a whole. In addition, these findings will stimulate evidence-based decisions through scholarly and empirical research. And at this point, I'm very happy this empirical research concept was well articulated and explained by our Lady Justice Aluoch. This government is committed to continue supporting university education and specifically funding research in areas that address contemporary issues. And at this point, I would wish to mention that within our Ministry of Education, we have what we normally call SAGAs, semi-autonomous government agencies. And have in mind the National Research Fund, which is a SAGA within our ministry. And it does support universities on matters of research. And it is always good, even when we are talking about public universities and private universities, that collaboration cuts across. So kindly, you need to network with such kind of institutions, and you shall be guided on how best you can be supported on research matters. Research is critical today because, as indicated here, all our universities have three key issues and the pillars as mentioned by our Cabinet Secretary. But research remains very, very, very important to any university. And many times we are told any university which is not involved in any research programs and activities is no longer a university, but a college. So I encourage you to be a university that can be able to be recognized nationally and even internationally through research findings and the publications, the way it has been stated here. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I wish to announce again my warmest congratulations to Mrs. Professor Rachel Gesami for this scholarly gesture, and to the Catholic University of Eastern Africa for incubating and supporting this level of research. Please keep up the good work all the time. When we listened to the address by the President of the Republic of Kenya during Jamhuri Day, he is the President of the Republic of Kenya. And he was saying that this country should be a republic of ideas, and it should be very creative and innovative as a nation. And today we pride because we are on the right track. We need to be able to be very creative, very innovative, so that we can be able to solve the challenges we are facing as a nation together, and in extension, the region and globally. Most of our findings, research findings, innovations, they have found their way out of this country. And many of other nations are utilizing the same innovations and the creativity which has been incubated locally within our nation. And therefore, the government is going to support all the initiatives towards research, innovation, creativity, so that we can be able to resolve on many of the challenges as it were. Before I can be able to declare this book unveiled, we are in the festive season. We have just finished with the Jamhuri. Every one of us now is looking forward towards Christmas and, of course, a new year, which to all of us, we want to wish each and every one of us a blessed, prosperous, and a happy new year, 2023. Within those remarks, it is now my humble pleasure, on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Education, to officially unveil this book, Research Methods, Examining Research Techniques. I hope that it shall be embraced not only for education, but also by other sectors at all over the world. I thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dambuki. Before you leave on stage, I'd wish just to organize this place in a better and coordinated manner. I'll request Dean Faculty of Law to be there. Maggie, please, with Njeri, and also invite the book launch committee members just to be around. Before we invite Prof, I'll also request Mr. James Deuri, the senior advisor to our VC, just to be next. And then from there, just to give some guidance. After we are through with this part, Prof will walk there with some traditional Ligalia or some songs led by Dr. Sanyisha. And then she will sign 3 books, which will be presented officially to the VC, or now to the special advisor to the VC, Mr. James Deuri. So I invite the book launch committee just to be next, as I hand over this microphone to the Dean Faculty of Law to take us to that next level. So I request Mr. Dambuki, we just walk to this stage so that we do the official launch of the book. And God bless you as you launch officially now the book.
Thank you. Editor, could the book committee please come and be here? We want the judge to see evidence that there was people working on it. Professor Gesami, could you come and join Mr. Dambuki with Dr. Gesami, Your Excellency the Governor? We were told how you have suffered during this writing. And so that Honorable Justice Aluoch can also be motivated to finish her memoirs. And I'm doing one of the tributes. Could you please, Judge, please walk to the podium and be part of this team. Mr. Deuri, representing the boss man. Where's Mrs. Getui? Oh, yeah, everybody. Where's Professor Nyanchoga? What is this invitation about? Yes. Please, as we stand in solidarity with Prof, we are not just here because she's our boss. We are here because she's motivated us to do research and to do things right. And we are Justice, Lady Justice, you know, we are very fond of her. We knew about good things. So I think that the official launch, I don't know what gymnastics are going to happen here in Jerry. Where's Mr. Dambuki? Are we going to blow this thing up or what? There's one. Oh, Father Makundi, the council member, I beg your pardon. I'm actually legally blind, so I have a defense I wouldn't recognize. Where's Father Anthony? Where's Father Anthony? Yeah. Where's Father Mungai? Father Jordan from Gaba. Wow, that's a lovely name. Professor Mungai is here. Father Jordan, could you flow to the podium? Where's Mr. Ndambuki? Maggie, what are we supposed to do now? To cut ribbons or something?
Oh, he's just behind you. So Mr. Dabuki will walk to the stage. There are scissors there. We have our pageant, Miss CUEA, and they will blow off. And of course, Maggie and Jerry, they will help in popping and flaring. So we will request Mr. Dambuki to take on the scissors. The author to be next there, and the family, and Lady Justice, and Mr. Deuri, the special advisor to VC, and the representative of the Amesea Father. Please just walk with them as we do the pomp and flare. So, Mr. Dambuki, the floor is yours, as we request some good music from that other side of the studio. Here we go. Yeah, some good music. Let's go. Fantastic, fantastic. What shall I render to Jehovah? Thank you. So we want to do the official signing, and I will request the Mwanawamberi led by Dr. Sanyisha to walk Prof to that other side to do the official signing, as we appreciate all those who have witnessed on behalf of every one of us. So the team that is supposed to take Prof the other side, please, with the traditional regalia for book signing, very fast. So we are walking on that other side. Fantastic. Let's all enjoy ourselves. You can stand and just stretch a bit. Yeah, let's be standing and stretch a bit. Thank you so much. I'll request Dr. Sanyisha and Jerry to bring Prof to the floor. We have now the final bit where Professor Nyanchoga will moderate. It will take few minutes, so we beg for indulgence. So this is now the dialogue session, which will take us very few minutes. Before then, I'll also request Dean Faculty of Law just to do a small brief for Prof, but just wait a bit as she walks to the stage.
Okay.
So you can continue with a little bit of the music at the backstage, please. So this session will be moderated by Professor Nyanchoga, who is seated right in front of me. And we have Dr. Umuchesi there, we have Jean Lokenga, we have father here, we have brother here, and we are elated. So this is a very short session that will just ignite our thoughts towards this book. Okay. So Prof, this will be your session. Okay. Once Dean Faculty of Law did or does that bit of brief interlude.
Okay, thank you, Chair. May I request Dr. Shanyisa Kibe to walk Professor Gesami to the podium. And please bring her first of all to the pulpit because we are doing a little ceremony. Yeah. This is the only time I get to order my boss around, and I really love it. Could Professor Gesami please proceed to the podium? Before you take your seat, Prof, please come and join the Dean Law. I also happen to be her favorite Dean, so. Okay, Your Excellencies, we've unveiled the book, but we haven't unveiled the author. And also as a scholar in my own right, I'm now going to unveil the author, but I'll do it a little differently because remember, Justice Alwoch always remembers us to remember who we are and do things that resonate with us. So this is the citation of the author, Mrs. Professor Rachel K. Gesami. Now, born in the late 50s as the firstborn child to peasant farmers, David Bosire Mokaya, and his dear wife, beautiful Isabella Kwamboka Mokaya, in a small village in Tombe, in the present-day Nyamira County in Nyanza, young Kemunto hit the ground running, literally. Right from an early age, it was clear to her parents that young Kemunto would make something out of her life. She had an inquiring spirit and a keen eye for detail. After making observations of a situation, she would ask questions that a child her age would not ordinarily ask her parents. Why does dry wood burn better than green, she would ask? Why do rivers flow downstream and not uphill? Where does the sun go to at night? She would also ask taboo questions, such as why is it only girls who fetch water and firewood while boys play all day long? As is invariably the case in our African homes, most of the answers that she got from the adults were neither credible nor satisfactory. Not being one to quench her curiosity for the sake of peace, she would quietly craft her problem, and once she understood it, would design a way of finding the answers for herself, explain her findings away, and where need be, try to implement her findings to see whether they worked, and if they did, share them with her friends so that they could also be helped out of their situations as well. Needless to say, this would more often than not put young Kemunto in a collision course with her parents, especially her very strict disciplinarian father. as a researcher was born in the Kimunto family. Now, things came to a head when in high school, she discovered many injustices committed on the students by the school administration. Nobody else in living memory knows this. As fate would have it, she was the school captain. This notwithstanding, and after studying the problem, laying all the opinions on the table, she was left with only one option: to call a strike. The least said about the consequences of this revolutionary act, the better. But suffice it to say that a strike whose ringleader was none other than the school captain was not to be taken lightly. Justice was finally availed. And at that point, she realizes that if you use your research findings wisely, you can influence policy. Now, growing up as a young woman in the village, right through to developing a career in the academia and development worlds, Kimunto was as comfortable and self-assured going about her business on the lush green fields of the mountainous Nyamira as she was traversing the kaleidoscopic streets of Washington, D.C., and perturbed by the dizzying skyscrapers. She would comfortably sit around a fireplace with fellow women discussing things that matter to them. And on the next day, she'd be dining and wining with heads of states and governments, helping them draft policies for their economies. And this afternoon, you had evidence of that as the Prime Minister of Namibia called to congratulate her. At the home front, as a mother and a happy wife, she would, without any fuss whatsoever, get into her gumboots and accompany her best friend and doctor husband turned politician on the campaign trail with equal ease. This attribute and the ability to be comfortable in her skin in whatever circumstances is what might have helped her to become the woman she is today. A woman who defied village, provincial, ethnic, tribal, racial, color, and regional barriers to become a global citizen. Redacted as it is, Professor Gesami's short bio, which you've heard variously this afternoon, reads like an almanac of life-changing events. Would one expect any less of a Moran of the burning spear, whose passion in supporting education for development and poverty eradication in Africa? Professor Rachel Gesami holds a PhD in economics from the University of Nairobi, Kenya, an MA Economics and Policy from the University of Leeds in the UK, and a BA Economics and Sociology from the Universities of Botswana and Swaziland. A successful scholar, researcher, and international development economist, Professor Gesami is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs and Research at the most prestigious university in the region, the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, CUEA. She's the first woman ever to hold this position in CUEA. She also chairs the CUEA Board of Trustees and Management. A scholar par excellence, she has held the position of chair at the Nelson Mandela Center for African Studies, Associate Professor of Economics, Center for Economic Studies and Planning in the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, India, the Dean of School of Business and Economics in Kenya Methodist University. As a development economist, Professor Gesami has served in various capacities within the Kenyan government. She was Secretary Policy Coordination in the Office of the Deputy President of Kenya, Secretary Policy Coordination, Office of the Prime Minister, Director Vision 2030, Office of the Prime Minister, and Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Cooperative Development. At the international arena, Professor Gesami worked as a senior advisor for Agrofone Africa at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Washington, D.C., where she provided technical advice to member states on economic policy, macroeconomics, financial, and structural matters. This is the woman whose life we celebrate today, one of our own who did what women do best. She saw a gap and filled it by building on the foundation that others had laid. Friends, allow me now to unveil and welcome to the podium the Moran, ready to banish ignorance out of Africa with her burning spear, the author of Research Methods, Empowering Research, Examining Research Techniques, Professor Rachel Kimunto Gesami. Did you recognize
Yes, I do. I recognize what was read, but I'm so shocked that someone can write your bio when you have not given other information. I think I've concluded that someone might write your obituary without without having grown up with you at all. But thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Now, we are going to go into a session, but before we do that, I would like to be heard in terms of, so that you hear my voice before I can answer questions. And I want to start. I'm sorry about the timing. I can see other people are pressing times like James, but I will do this very fast. Representative of CS, Honorable Machogu, Mr. Ndambuki, Honorable Lady Justice Joyce Aruoch, retired judge and first vice president of the International Criminal Court, the ICC. People dream to go there, they don't. I'm proud of you. Reverend Anthony Makunde, our Secretary General of AMESIA, and our council member. I'm grateful you are here. Very Reverend Professor Stephen Mbuwangari, our Vice Chancellor in absentia. Dr. John Statler, Namibia Statistical General Agency, who spoke to us earlier. Mr. James Teuri, Special Advisor to the Vice Chancellor CUEA, and who is the representative of our Vice Chancellor in this function. The team from GABA, led by Reverend Jordan Nyenyembe, Vice Chancellors and Deputy Vice Chancellors present here. Our University Chaplain, Reverend Mungai, Deans, Directors present, all faculty members present, all students present, members of the media present, all of my family members. I have no words for you. The editor, Jafet, and the designer, Simiyu, Denise from GAPA, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed. Before I move, I want to say, God is good. And all the time. Before we go to this panel, I want to make a statement, and I am delighted with the audience members, and I'm extremely honored and humbled by the elite gathering. I would like to thank our guest of honor, who is represented by Mr. Ndambuki here, and our keynote speaker, Honorable Lady Justice Joyce Aruoch and Dr. John Statler, for taking time off from their busy schedules to be here and launch this book today. Generally, the author's musings consist of what is in the book besides what her writing may be. I intend to follow this tradition. The seed to write a book on research methods, examining research methodologies was sown when I worked at the International Monetary Fund with colleagues like Chairman Mwabu, Professor Mwabu, a very renowned professor, Joseph Masawe of Tanzania, Peter Ngumburu of Tanzania, and John Statler, who together we co-authored several international journals and books in economic policy and poverty eradication. The inspiration to write this book came from my lived experiences and is based on my lecture materials developed over a decade of teaching the doctoral level class on research methods at various universities in Kenya, in India, and in the USA. My master's and doctorate students have also been an inspiration to me and gave me many insights into the practical problems of engaging in research and demonstrated ways to overcome them. Safe to say that this textbook represents a labor of love, deep commitment to scholarship, and to my students especially. Research methods are tools, and that is what we need to demystify. Research methods are tools and techniques for doing research. Research is a term used very liberally for any kind of investigation that is intended to uncover interesting new facts. As with all activities, the rigor with which this activity is carried out will be reflected in the quality of results. This textbook presents a basic review of the nature of research and the methods which are used to undertake a variety of investigations relevant to a wide range of subjects such as socioscience, socioanthropology, psychology, economics, politics, law, hospitality, business, education, humanities, and humanities and any other. That's why we say it is an interdisciplinary, although we have got different areas that we differ. But this book can help any discipline. Just about every university course includes an element of research that students must carry out independently in the form of projects, dissertations, theses, and the more advanced degree, the greater the research content is. That we all know. The higher the degree, the higher the intensity of the research that needs to be carried out. While some types of businesses also rely on doing research projects for their very existence. Research methods are a range of tools that are used for different types of inquiry, just as a variety of tools are used for doing different jobs. For example, and I will give a very basic example, which everyone has used. For example, a chamber for digging the ground, or a rack for clearing leaves. In all cases, it is necessary to know what the correct tools are for doing the job and how to use them to the best effect. This textbook, therefore, provides you with the basic information about the tools used in research, the situations in which they are applied, and indicates briefly. In every chapter you will see very, very brief methods and how you apply them, how they are used by giving practical examples. One of my favorite writers is Paul Coelho. I know maybe someone else loves that writer. A Brazilian author whose books are quite philosophical. I would like to share a quote from his book called The Pilgrimage. He says, and I quote, "The true path to wisdom can be identified. It has to have practical applications in your life. Otherwise, wisdom becomes a useless thing, and it relates like a sword that is never used." This book is intended, therefore, as a practical introduction to research methods in all academic disciplines. The core philosophical base for this textbook comes from my conviction that although various academic disciplines vary in content, their broad approach to a research inquiry is similar. The first and most important question potential readers should have about this book is how it is different from the other books on the market. Well, the main difference is that unlike other textbooks, this book is not just a research methods, but about the entire research process, from conception, from actually having a research question, or from the time you want to say you have a researchable area. Because researchers sitting in this room know that a research topic is not easy to come by. So this book would assist you right from there, because it gives you the entire process of the research that you intend to carry. This book is not just the research method, as I've said, it is the entire process from start to end. Research method is only phase in the research process. So the methods are just a phase, and possibly the easiest, most structured one. Most textbooks cover research methods in depth, but leave out the more challenging, less structured, and probably more important issues such as theorizing and thinking like a researcher, which are often prerequisites for empirical research. I've always felt during my several years of teaching that students fail to understand the books written on research methods because they are generally written in technical language. Hence, there are a lot of terms that many such a textbook would include that are failed out, that are left out of this textbook. While writing this book, I decided to focus only on essential concepts and not fill pages with jargon and clutter that can divert the reader's attention to the less relevant or tangible issues. Over the decades, there has been a great deal of discussion on what constitutes research, how it should be conducted, whether certain methods are better than others. Although I have touched upon some of these issues in the relevant chapters, it is not possible or desirable to go into any greater detail in this book. I believe that learning is like pouring water into a cup. Once the cup is full, you can keep pouring the water, but the cup won't hold more water. What you should do is drink the water or pour it out before you refill it. The analogy gets a little bit stretched here, but drinking the water stands in for using the information. And that's mostly what we are saying in this book, that use the information as it comes, and it won't fill and flow out of the cup. You will be ready to read a more advanced book that fills you back up. Research is best learned through practice. This book is written with the understanding that the subject is hard to internalize, and so real life examples are offered where they can be. But that is not enough to make you an expert. And in fact, it is hard for anyone to be an expert. There are always new methods and techniques to learn that can improve the ability of researchers to answer important questions. However, this book is a good place to start at, or at least, I hope so. Finding out about things and trying to understand events and situations are activities that symbolize the very essence of humanity. At a time when we are bombarded with information from the internet, when pressing problems are ever present, when the opportunities for discovery are all around us, it is really useful, if not essential, to be familiar with the methods for doing research. Any research. This book will help you to think clearly, to structure your inquiries, and to come to conclusions based on appropriate evidence and sound argument. It will enable you to consolidate your knowledge and understanding on your surroundings, and it will also help you to hold your own in a discussion and to critically analyze the claims and arguments made by others. Finally, I feel appreciative of my family, friends, colleagues who provided encouragement, advice, and feedback. A special thanks to my husband. Governor is in the house. Maybe you can salute so that everybody sees you. Thank you. And our children. No, a special thanks to my husband, Jim. I call him Jim, for being my patient cheerleader, for believing in me, and for his tolerance during the writing of this book. My children, Bridget, Gori, Lilian, Johnny, Moses, Caroline, Michael, Emily, who encouraged me through the wrong journey and listened and helped me make sense of my misgivings and triumphs. I want to thank you all. For the round team, the team you saw here, I have no words. For the top management of this university, I have no words. I can only say, may God Almighty bless every one of you here today, and may you use this book. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
And welcome you to the panel so that we can dialogue with you. We take this opportunity again to appreciate you, Professor, together with your family, and by extension, the CUEA family celebrates you for producing this interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary, well-researched book that is transforming African scholarship. It's important that we appreciate a professor because there are very few African scholars who have actually written on research methods. And we really take this opportunity to appreciate you. So before you, Professor, we have a panel of eminent scholars from Catholic University who consist of, lecturers and students who would like to dialogue with you and perhaps get a few insights into this newly launched book. We welcome Dr. Sanyisa to begin the session with us.
Thank you very much, Chair. All protocols observed, good evening. I'm Dr. Wilkista Shanyisa from Center for Social Justice and Ethics, the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. And first and foremost, congratulations very much, Prof, for setting the pace, especially for us young scholars. It is really a great initiative, but I'm just curious to find out what exactly prompted you amidst your busy schedule to embark on this very important project.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanyisa, and the protocols observed with the audience. As I've indicated in my speech, we started this project in Washington, and my colleagues were cheering me on. And I've mentioned them. One of them, it was actually my professor when I was doing my PhD. Professor Mwabu took my hand and held me all the way. So he would come to Washington, and that's when he started to indicate that, we need to come up with a research methodology, a research technique that is examined, a research that, takes the scholar right from the inception of the question they want to inquire, take it through the body, get the research questions, indicate what the hypotheses are in that research, and be able to determine them and be able to answer them, because there is a particular way hypotheses are asked and are answered. So this between my colleagues in Washington and my students, both my master's students and my PhD students, because I've supervised quite a number across board, including some in the US, I found that they were always inquiring. And sometimes they would ask how we could know so much. Because you see, the kids are raised in America, so they think this person from Africa wouldn't know this. So all of those things inspired me to be able to come up with this book. Thank you for that question.
Thank you very much, Professor, for answering that question ably. And I think we understand now that doing research in Africa, we are getting solutions from African scholars. Dr. Jonathan Umchesi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and congratulations. For me, I would want you to share with us what you would want the academic staff and students at CUEA, and by extension other universities, to take home with this important journey you have taken in your career, both as an educator and a university representative scholar.
Okay, I thank you, Dr. Mujesi, for that question. I think it is very clear to me that knowledge is shared. If knowledge was not shared, then it won't be knowledge. As far as I'm concerned, when learning, everyday learning is like really pouring water. You would have enough information, but you can't take in more. In other words, if you don't apply the information as you go, because it changes, nothing is static. So if you don't use it as you go and document it as you go, then it doesn't work. And as I alluded to earlier, it is important for for the scholars, the CUEA staff, the CUEA students, to remember to internalize hard subjects, hard questions, to remember to know how to start a research process. And there is nothing wrong with asking, because half the time we don't know everything that we need to know. So when you start thinking how you are going to do research, it's important to ask, to even go to other areas which are outside the scholarly area and get information. So it's very important that you get and you share information. And when they go, I hope that the methods and techniques that answer certain questions will be able then to support the scholars and the young researchers.
Thank you. I look forward to using the book.
Thank you very much, Professor, for giving us the roadmap in doing research in Africa. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, Professor.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jean Lukenga. I pursue a PhD in social work here in university. Congratulations once again, as others have said, for the book. And I come from DRC, so a French-speaking country, and I can't wait to see the French version of this book so that it can benefit students in the French-speaking countries in Africa. As you've explained to us the journey that led you to produce this very important reference, and you've been very generous of thinking about students and other scholars doing research by making some of the concepts very simple and clear. You've been very generous to think of the challenges that students may face and have been facing. That's why you wrote this book. And we would like to know, in that journey, what are some of the lessons learned that you would like to share with us think that, that you came across as you produced this very important reference. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's our student, a PhD student of ours. I think I've said something about this, but I will emphasize. Writing a book, like when I started this one, I can tell you, I wasn't looking at being the best author. I wasn't looking at that. I was thinking that we need to have material that can assist the students to study and to come up with their work. What I can tell you is that to be able to do this book, or those who will take this experience away, you just need to be persistent. You won't be able to do a book overnight, and you won't be able to do a book if you do not spare time, put time aside, and consult others, because no man lives in an island. Use the knowledge base that you have on the topic that you are researching, and be able to establish goals, to be able to reach those goals as you write, so that you can conclude. So I can only say, and I get it there is no particular procedure that I know of that one can use. It's just like Real Justice said, being available and being able to be persist, not to leave it when you feel I can't deal with this anymore. So you must have clear goals. You must keep yourself within timelines to be able to do a book. So drafting this was a challenge to me a lot. I can't say it was I can't use the word bed of roses, because try putting your hand in a bed of roses, you will see what happens. It was difficult, but I tried continuing to write. When His Excellency here is annoyed that I've delayed something, I'll finish what he wants and I will still go and write my book. So be persistent. That's all I want to say.
Thank you very much, Professor. And I'm sure, as senior counsel, from the legal perspective, you must be having an issue that perhaps you would like Professor to answer. Yeah.
Yes.
Use this. I can ask him to use even for a raise. Okay. Prof, congratulations once again. I carry the law school with me here, and what we would like to know, in very few words, how does this book cut across disciplines? Remember that we lawyers don't like statistics. You had the Lady Justice tell you that. Our research is usually qualitative and ethnographic, basically in nature. So how is this going to help us?
Thank you very much, Senior Counsel, for that question. I can only say one thing here. I don't want us to detour because I think for the interest of time, we need to conclude. As I indicated when I was giving my speech, I said that research methods are tools and techniques for doing research. I also say that research is a term used very liberally. So I believe that research, being liberal as it is, the book that I've written can be able to help in any investigation that is intended to uncover interesting or new facts. I also said that every discipline has its own rigor in research. They have their own different context. Rather, the content they use in different disciplines is different. But this research book can undertake a variety of investigations relevant to a wide range of subjects. Because it doesn't deal with the content of the discipline. It deals with the methods, the techniques of unraveling that content in that discipline. That is what makes this book different. And that is actually what makes this book interdisciplinary, as I said earlier. It looks at the methods, the techniques, not the contents of the disciplines. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, and I think the rest of our panelists, I would like to ask you to ask your questions, and then Professor will respond to all the questions once in the interest of time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joki Kibe, and I'm a PhD student in the Graduate Business School, and I'm very excited and proud that my supervisor, Professor Gesami, in conjunction with Dr. Anki Boy. I congratulate you, Dr. Gesami, for this book, and I'm just wondering how you could just explain to us the gap that you found in the research, in this context of the research technology.
Okay. Okay. I will take the other.
You ask, then she answers all of them because of time.
Thank you. Congratulations again, and in the interest of time, I'm Brother John, a student, a PhD student in the Faculty of Education. And I was intrigued by this word examining. It was like you're examining everybody else. And I'm asking, what unique features will researchers, students and staff take away from this, draw from this, so that we can put other books down?
Okay.
Yes, Father. I'm Father Ngengi, Albert Ngengi Mundele, professor in the Faculty of Theology. There is 3 points I wanted to say about this book. First of all, congratulations. I appreciate. Myself, I am a professor of methodologies and approaches. I'm happy that she has explained that in this book it is, because it is interdisciplinary, that means it across many other fields, and then even theology. Theology sometimes is taken as a social sciences or humanities. At the same time, it is with the Bible literature. That means we use also many other methods and techniques for other sciences. And then for that, just from the title, I am excited so to get it in my hand. And then I said also to some student of ours in theology to come and to buy it. We are researcher, scholar, from the title. There is something very, very good in these things. Second, I wanted to appreciate Professor Nyachoga to have integrated theology in this debate. It has become my chorus, my refrain. Theology in CUEA is a mother faculty. Without theology, we could not have got this beautiful hall. They needed the signature of the Dean of the Faculty of Theology, the Bishop Conference of Italy. I'm happy that in this higher scholarly debate, theology has been integrated. I appreciate it. Third, writing, as he said, it is not easier. Writing an article, to write an article, a contribution, it is not easier. And to write a book on methodology and research, I know what is it. In the Faculty of Theology, we have 2 or 3 publications of methodology. The other one has been launched last semester. It is not easier. And when I see this book and the volume, I said, yes. I appreciate you and all your people who have been very, very patient with you, who collaborated with you. Congratulations, and we are eager to have this book and to use it, not only in the shelves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. We allow now Professor to respond to the few comments and questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that contribution, Professor. I think you have answered some of the 2 questions that I was going to answer, but I will add. What I will add is, Njoki asks on the gap, and you ask on the gap, more or less. Yeah, so examining, yeah. Okay, for me, the gap I saw in this area, basically, if you recall, most research methodologies as a subject is taught in every university as a supporting subject. Why do I say that? Because you are trying to teach these students to be able to carry out research. Now, that is in one hand. I'm an economist, we always have 2 hands. In the second hand, you will find that many academicians and many industry readers and many scholars, you will find that they want their research to influence public policy. Now, once you have that, and then you have to now teach and give. Yeah, I'm assuming, actually the gap is, I'm assuming that everybody has their content intact. Anthropology, political science, law here, and business. Everybody has their content. I'm not interested in that. So what I found was that most people who are teaching these subjects were only concerned on the methodology, the way it is applied. My addition to that is that I wanted the scholar, the researcher, to look at the research process from beginning to end. So I started examining the methodologies that I used, the methods, and looking at the techniques. Hence, the documenting of those techniques. I think I've answered that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think what Professor is telling us that the book is not only about learning, research, techniques, it's also knowing how to do the research. And I think that is where it's very monumental, it's very transformational. And Professor, we want to appreciate you and thank you for assisting us to transform African scholarship through research and publication. Thank you very much for this session, and we hand over to the chair.
Thank you, Professor Nyanchoga. Let's give them a round of applause as they leave the stage. Thank you so much. And I invite Professor Mary Ann Getui, Professor, Department of Religious Studies, to give us the vote of thanks. So thank you, God bless you. And just one announcement, we'll be having some bites and cocktail after this. If you have any question you want to interrogate or interact with the Prof, we are going to have another round of bites. You can grab a cup of coffee as you ask her some questions. So there is that sessions at the cafeteria after this.
God has sent me to
Professor Getui, this is your chance.
God has sent me to listen. Them say, them tell you say you can never be the one.
Good evening. I'm here to make very brief remarks, just to give a vote of thanks. I acknowledge the presence of Lady Justice Aluoch. I acknowledge the presence of the representative of the CS Education. I recognize Mr. Theuri, who's representing our VC, and I appreciate and acknowledge each one of us who is here. Hearty congratulations to my sister. It may sound awkward. She's my sister and she's married to my brother. Thank you, my brother, for standing with my sister. And I want to appreciate, just as Lady Justice said, the participation and contribution of family in all that we do. As a university, our mission, our mandate is to teach, to do research, and to do community service. We want to thank you for fulfilling these three pillars. This document will help us to do our research. This document will help us in our teaching, and in a very special way, it also reflects community service. None of us can walk without being held by another. I'm sure I could speak on behalf of the younger people here, the younger scholars, and this was brought out very well by Lady Justice, that in life we need a mentor and we need a mentee. Thank you for making this a reality for us this afternoon. I'd also like to indicate that the activity that we have had this afternoon, and Mr. Ndambuki, you talked about this, the Commission for University Education. When we are developing programs, there are very key questions they ask. Do we have literature that reflects Africa? You have brought that out very clearly. Recent publications. Sometimes myself as a teacher and a supervisor, I tell my students, you need more recent publications. We are also very grateful because this text is interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. I don't know whether my students are here this afternoon. I teach research methods, theories and research methods. We will be some of the first ones to grab a copy of this book, and I can assure you that in my next class, it is going to be the book that they are going to review. It is right here with us, and I would also like to appreciate that you have published with CUEA. Earlier on, before we got here, we were talking with the chaplain, and we were talking about, you can publish, but you also need to publish with a reputable company. And CUEA is such a place. If you are visiting us, like our friend, you said you are a student, PhD student in social studies, yes? but he is the country director, UNICEF. Wherever you go, tell those high-level people that they can publish with us. We are very reputable, and we thank the team that has helped Professor Gesami to do this. They say, and this comes from Africa, that our ancestors are walking libraries. But we realize that as time goes by, we are not really having much time with the older people in the community. And so there's this French saying that when an elder dies, it is like a whole library has died. We never live forever. Professor Gesami, what you have written is a library, and what we write outlives us. So true to African culture, I won't tell you when I'm born, but by looking at me, what you have done is legacy that will outlive you. May God bless these efforts. You mentioned a writer, Paul Coelho, and he has done a lot of work. I want to share something that he has said about the pencil. He wrote some poems a little way back. He has written very many books. The Alchemist, if you haven't read that one, please get hold of it. Because it says that where you are is where your treasure is. And Paul Coelho says a few things about the pencil. I'll be very brief. There was this grandmother who was writing, and the grandchild asked, "Grandmother, what is it that you are writing?" And grandmother said, "It's not so much what I'm writing that is important, but this pencil that I'm using." And Coelho gives 5 qualities of the pencil. He says that for the pencil to write, it needs to be held. And that in our lives, we need to be guided by God for us to move forward. The second one is that the pencil, for it to continue writing, it has to be sharpened. The sharpening could be painful, but it is sharper and it serves even better. The third quality of the pencil is that you can erase. You know, we go through also all these many things, and there are many that we would like to forget, you can erase. Number 4 is that when you write, you leave a mark. And I've already said that. And the last one is that the inside, the graphite in the pencil is where the strength of the pencil lies. I hope I'm not going to offend anybody, but women are very strong. And our sister, thank you so much for combining all these many duties and still coming up with this very, very useful material. When we do research, new ideas, new revelations, and when we read, we are enriched, and the community becomes a better place. We are in an academic institution, and there is this common phrase, friends, that you either publish or you perish. Thank you for reminding us yet again that we need to generate information, we need to generate knowledge and share it. And finally, I just want to thank each one of us who has played a role towards this process. I want to confess that I stood here with the committee. I was a member, but an absentee member, but all the time consulting with the secretary, Maggie, where are we and what are we doing? Thank you, the committee. Thank you, the university. Thank you for all of us that have turned up here. And thank you, and thank you. And in life, we are told that a heart of gratitude brings sunshine. May this book bring sunshine to our sister, your family, our community, and for the scholarly world. Thank you so much, and God bless each one of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Gitui. Now, in the interest of time, we've come to the end of our function, but before then, there is this last gesture, which we are requesting Prof to come on the stage to issue few books to the representative of the CS, Lady Justice Aluoch, the VC, the special advisor to the VC, Mr. James Deuri, the library representative, and the committee. Please, very fast, in the interest of time, we get this gesture done. Then I will invite Father to come and close this session with a word of prayer, so that we transition and go to the cafeteria, where we are going to grab some cocktails and some coffee as we have tete-a-tete with Prof. So thank you so much, Father, as you take on stage. Those I've mentioned, please take on stage in the interest of time, because there is another function that is supposed to take place here. We have Christmas carols, and is some minutes past 5, and we are way above our program timings. So we'll start with the CS, the representative of the CS, Mr. Dambuki will receive his copy signed by Prof, and then our keynote speaker, Honorable Lady Justice Aluoch, as we get the song. Please, let's get the song from that other side.
I have a message for you. God has sent me to. Listen, them say, them tell you, say you can never be the one. But God say, make I tell you, say now you him choose in 1 month, in 1 week.
Please.
You will sing a new song in 2 days, lesser than you will hear. Congratulations, you're in the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for you, and you will come back with a new song to sing. God is good. Yes, you will come again with a new song of praise. God is good. Oh, congratulations.
Book launch committee, please, in the interest of time. Come for your copies. In the interest of time, the committee members.
God is good. Them say that I can never be all that I see. I've seen that. God is greater than that. Who can battle with the Lord? Nobody. Who can change his mind around me? Through many years, in many ways, I have seen his faithfulness ever and ever. Yeah. Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for me, and I have come back with a new song to sing. My God is good. Yes, I will go again with a new song of praise. My God is good. Congratulations. Congratulations, say what the Lord has done for me.
Congratulations, time for jubilation. Congratulations, no more tribulation. I bring you good news where you cannot refuse. Oh Lord, I told you with Christ that you can never lose. Oh God, woman, I beg you, give me your attention. Very, very soon you will share your testimony. One by one you will tell your testimony. greater than
Congratulations, you've seen the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for you. And you'll come back with a new song to sing. Your God is good. Oh. You will come again with a new song of praise. God is good. Oh. Congratulations.
Tell it to one, you are gonna tell it to one. Sit down on the rhythm like a king on a throne. And I put you alongside the day. So when we together in a celebration.
I have a message for you. God has sent me to
Fantastic, fantastic. If you want to grab a copy of this book, it's going for 4,500 just to meet the cost of printing, which went up to 5,000. So a copy is going for 4,500 Kenya shillings. We have few copies with us here, less than 200. So if you want one, you can grab your copy this evening. So allow me to invite Father, Professor, and as Jerry and Maggie wraps up the bit of receiving officially the booklets. Thank you so much, Prof. Allow me to invite Professor Father to take us through the last stage. Then we meet at the cafeteria as we grab a cup of coffee and some few bites here and there. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Hello. Before I invoke the blessings of God, I wanted to say just one thing. Professor Gesami, there is one thing maybe you do not know. Two of your teachers here have been appointed SECAM theologians. SECAM stand for Symposium Episcopal Conferences for Africa and Madagascar. And these are Dr. Peter Mbaro and Professor Ngengi Albert Mondele. It is at the level of continental level. Those are the bearer, the flag bearer of this institution. I wanted to tell you that. In that status, I wanted also to tell you that we have been asked how to link the different languages of SECAM. Those are English, French, and Portuguese. They ask us wherever there is publications, if it is possible to dispatch these publications to other language. That's why I appreciated Mr. John Lokenga said the French version of this book. And maybe, I don't know how, we will talk, how to send also, if not a copy, a full copy to the other library, but at least the notice, so that they know that there is something new, very, very interesting and scholarly. Let us stand and pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Twasema asante, twasema asante, twasema asante, ewe Mungu wangu, twasema asante. our Father and Creator, we thank you for this opportunity you have given us to come here to see the hard-working result of one of us. We thank you for gathering these people here, staff, administrator, student, researchers, so that we are encouraged to go forward in what you impart in us, knowledge, wisdom, so that we can discover you in what we are, your creator. We thank you for all what you have done to our sister, Professor Gesami, the patients of the family, member of the families, the collaborators, and all the people who have helped her to achieve this book. We ask you to bless her collaborators, her family, to bless all the people who are going to come in contact with this book. We ask you to bless us, what we have learned, what we have heard, what we have seen. We go forward to spread this scholarly work. We ask you to bless us. Your Holy Spirit be with us all the time, so that we cannot forget you, what you have done for us, what you have done for this institution, CUEA. Be with us all the time. And then when those who will read, or to whom we will share what we have experienced here, may be also one with us. We ask this through Christ our Lord. The Lord be with you. May the Almighty God bless and protect you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank
Tumeona mkono wake Bwana, mengi mazuri tumeyaona, Mungu umetenda, ni kweli wewe muweza. Ulitamka vitu vikawa, neno tulatosha, ukisema umetenda. Watumishi wako umewapa